Hey everybody, Uncle Rich here for Who's Telling the Truth. Hey, the bear looks nude. Kurt, where's the sign? Oh man, you can't get good help anymore, I tell you. Hey, it doesn't have to be perfect. We just need it, especially at the beginning of the show. All right, I guess this ain't gonna work. Kurt, we're on the air. Just give me the sign. Ay, ay, ay.
It's coming.
Thank you. All right, guys, it's live TV. What do you want me to say to you? You just can't get good help anymore. Kurt, ay, ay. This is embarrassing. Guys, this is show number 118. Today is November 30th, 2015, and the name of the show, if somebody was paying attention, is Cop. C-O-P 21. Cop. This, I tell you, it's like, it's unbelievable. No, I want to come on the show and say we need clarity. Boy, do we need clarity. Kurt, how do you get top at a cop? Ay, ay, ay. All right, guys. But before we can talk about Cop 21, and before I can explain it to you, we need to have a little clarification. And guys, you know, on this show, I love to give my conservative buddies I love to give them the business. I love to give them the old bada bang. And, you know, my good buddy Marty, when it comes to global warming, what does he always say? Global warming is a hoax, right? My buddy Dave Straight, when it comes to global warming, what does he always say? Global warming is a hoax. Hey, I met Dave Straight's producer, Cheryl Mercereau, and guess what, guys? She's as big a Fruit Loop as the other ones. That's right, and Cheryl, I hope I didn't insult you, but when you're ridiculous, you deserve to be ridiculed. And you know, when you don't believe in things, when you can't accept what is provable and repeatable, and you refuse to understand global warming and you think it's a hoax, we're not going to let you get away with it anymore. And Uncle Joey, my favorite Uncle Joey, of course, he thinks global warming is a hoax as well. Well, guys, right now in Paris, almost 200 countries are getting together, represented today, the meeting started today, represented by 151 world leaders. They're getting together in Paris, and they're getting together for COP, which stands for the Conference of Parties. So, the whole world is getting together to discuss a hoax. Guys, when are you gonna stop swimming upstream? When are you gonna stop running against the wind? Do you think this is a conspiracy and the whole world is against you? Do you think that could possibly be the case? Seriously? I don't care how brainwashed you are. I don't care how uneducated you are. When you see this amount of energy going into one issue, doesn't that tell you something? Doesn't the light go on? I mean, how long are you going to stay one of the simple folk? Stop it, please. All right, so guys, tonight's show, Kurt, I love you. I really love you. But tonight's show, the lion's share of the show is going to be on the climate change conference in Paris. But before we get to that, we have to finish up. Last week, you know, we spoke about our friends and our brothers and our sisters and our cousins and our aunts and uncles that work at the hospital. And we tried to expose how they were more or less being railroaded. And we came up with an unpleasant fact. And that fact was that the union, that the management was more or less trying to bust the union. And guys, Representative Dan Carter was there, and John was there. And guys, we're going to play the clip, and I want to apologize because Dave Straight is not in the clip. I didn't realize. But not only don't we get the name of the show right, we don't get the people right either. So I apologize. But what we're going to do is we're going to play the clip to show you what we founded. I tell you what we really tripped over. We're going to play that clip, and then you're going to, your antenna's going to go up because, we want to be critical thinkers. And guys, I have to say something. Uncle Joey is starting to come around. Uncle Joey is starting to ask questions. He doesn't just repeat things anymore. And it's almost scary, but his transformation, it's like he's going through a metamorphosis. And guys, what are they going to do? You can't keep denying science. It's not possible. It's really not, even though they'll try. All right, so anyway, the first clip, we're going to show you, and we're going to show you how AFT is trying to represent the people at the hospital and how this kind of came out about the union busting. So Judy, let's have clip number 1, please.
I also think that if a hospital is doing the right thing, then that should be rewarded. I think we can agree on that. No, so what is the right thing in my mind? I think the right thing is paying your executives a salary and compensation package that makes sense. I think it is using dollars that come from all these sources that are meant for patient care to be used for patient care, not overpaying people, and certainly not hiring union busters, consultants who come into a hospital to intimidate workers like they did with the healthcare workers this past summer who wanted to form a union, and they hired these people, 2 of which had criminal records.
Get out of here. Serious?
And intimidate the workers so that they would be intimidated not to vote for the union. The charges were so serious that the United States government put them on trial, the hospital, the network, and found them guilty and reversed the decision of the election, and they will have a new election early in December. That happens in about 2% of all elections for unions.
So wait. So they had a couple of goons come in? Is that what you're telling me?
And they had access to patient care areas so that they could speak to the workers. So that's fine. Listen. No, wait a minute. They have a right to express their opinion that they do not want their workers to be unionized. That's fine. They have a right. They have opportunities to that. They can bring them all to meetings and make them come to meetings. We call them captive audience meetings.
So this is public information that they were on trial and that they reversed the election, the union election, because of this finding?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the NLRB.
Yeah.
You can look it up.
I'm going to. I'm going to.
Guys, what do we pride ourselves on for this show? Being able to separate the sense from the nonsense, right? I mean, don't we go out of our way to be critical thinkers, to surround ourselves with the question marks, so that when somebody says something, we can say to them, be specific and name your source? All right, well, that's what we're going to do. And we're going to prove that, and guys, by the way, that was John Brady. John Brady is from the AFT, the American Federation of Teachers, and that was Dan Ryan. not Dave Straight. That was Representative Dan Ryan from Bethel. And I want to say something to Dan, even though he's a conservative and he thinks global warming is a hoax as well, he was a gentleman and he sat there and we did the whole show. And I want to tell you, I got a lot of respect for him, and that's what life's about. You know, we can have differences over things, you know, but we sat there like gentlemen and we talked about it. And that's what it's got to come down to. Not name calling. You know, we don't have to worry about emails and you know, baby parts and all this other stuff. We talk about issues, things that we can prove, things that are repeatable, things that are testable. Reality. It's a wonderful thing. Some of you conservatives should try it sometime. All right, now we're going to read a clip from the News Times. And guys, you can read along with us. And Judy, if you can come back and forth. But let's have still number 2 now. And guys, this is from the Danbury News Times. There we go. And it says, hospital workers consider joining union. And this was written by Susan Tuz on June 17, 2015. And like I said, this was from the Danbury News Times. Danbury, Western Connecticut Health Network has terminated a consulting firm that hospital employees said created a hostile atmosphere during meetings they were required to attend. A spokesman for WCHN, the umbrella organization for Danbury and the New Milford hospitals, said members of the firm had backgrounds contrary to our organizational values. The issue with national labor consults is among the reasons, Jody, you got to come back, I can't read it, is the reason some say they were driving about 800 nursing assistants and other workers at New Milford and Danbury hospitals to consider joining the union. Neville White, a certified nursing assistant, said the organizing campaign began more than a year ago when management cut weekend and night differential and told housekeeping they could go work at McDonald's if they don't like it. Can you imagine that? Telling your employee to go work at McDonald's? Oh, man, that's fighting words now. The lost pay differential adds up to between $6,000 and $10,000 a year, White said. According to the union, hospital employees are making only between $12 and $20 an hour. All right, Judy, can we go to the next still? AFT Connecticut, which is an organizing service, environmental, administrative, and maintenance workers, and patient care providers, has accused hospital managers of interference. Managers are accused of offering pay increases to discourage union support, dismissing the importance of unions to dissuade employees from voting for AFT Connecticut and other unlawful statements, the National Relations Board said. The agency is investigating. Andrea Ryan, a spokeswoman for WCHN, said the organization values and respects every employee, but those represented by labor union as well as the many employees who have chosen not to be represented by the labor union. As an organization, we are committed to maintaining an environment of respect and open communication with our employees, she said. AFT Connecticut and New Milford Nurses Union President Joan Chaplin said WCHN brought in representatives from national labor consults, but they made meetings uncomfortable. These workers have been required to attend mandated meetings with representatives of national labor consults where the atmosphere is one of harassment, coercion, and intimidation, said Matt O'Connor, spokesman for FT. Ryan said during the process, we felt it was important for us to have an open dialogue with our employees and also provide them with more than one perspective on the subject. National Labor Consult's COO, Martin Dries, guys, listen to this. Martin Dries served 33 months in federal prison on security fraud charges, according to federal document from the U.S. District Court, Eastern District of New York. The charges were filed in 1999. Dries is making restitution payments in the amount of $1.5 million. Holy mackerel. Court documents state payments began 30 days after his release. Man, they should have kept, man, how do you, $1.5 million? All right, Judy, can we go to the next one? In the meantime, I got to try to bring this up on my computer and I'm all mixed up. All right, anyway, guys, I can't read this because it's cut off, but you get the idea now, all right? So these guys, Judy, can you come back to me now? So what did they do? They brought in some goons to try to influence the people that are going to vote for the union. I mean, isn't this sick? I mean, this is what's wrong with America. I mean, you know, these people, they love America, but they hate their fellow Americans. And how does this happen? Why would you want to take shift differential from somebody? Why would you want to take away their weekend premium, overtime pay, holiday pay? Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to treat your employees like second-class citizens? Can you explain that to me, please? You know what? Sometimes we don't have to explain things. A chart can do it. So Judy, hopefully, we didn't have this last week, but hopefully we'll have still number 5. And guys, I want you to take a good look at this chart. Judy, there we go. Guys, you could see as union membership rates decrease, middle class incomes shrink. So guys, look, the unions went from about, let's say, 28% membership back in '67, down now they're down to a little over 10%. And you can see what's happened to the middle class and to the share of their income. Judy, you want to come back to me? So these guys want to put more money in their pocket so that they could take it out of the middle class. You know what? You're going to pull out of henhouse crap. You came to the wrong town. Go somewhere else. Don't come to Danbury, Connecticut, where we have social media and we were able to get on community access TV and we can get our signs right every once in a while. But guys, all right, Kurt got his act together, so now we see it's COPE 21. And as mad as I am with what these guys tried to do, you know, we got a bigger nut to crack, and this is climate change. And guys, that's the rest of the lion's share of the show is going to be exactly that. Now, the first thing we want to talk about is, you know, what hate and fear does to people, and how hate and fear makes them react. And, you know, I'm sure everybody's aware of what happened with the killings at Planned Parenthood. And you're probably all saying, well, Rich, I'm sure you're going to bring something up about that, right? No. Not this week. Next week, when we get our act together, when we have all the facts and figures so that we're not talking out of school. But we're going to go back 2 years and we're going to show you what a guy who was prompted by Fox News did to a mosque in, I believe it was Ohio. So Judy, let's have clip number 21, please.
While members of the Islamic Center were pleased with the guilty plea, they were dissatisfied with Lynn's lack
I got no
of
volume, Kurt.
I was very saddened by that. And I was more sad when
volume,
Judge
Kurt.
Zuhairi asked him that, do you know any Muslims or do you know what Islam is? And he said,
Kurt.
no. I only know what Fox News, what I hear on Fox News and what I hear on radio.
Ay, ay, ay. You guys all right out there? No, I couldn't hear anything out here. Let's try it again.
Okay.
Judy, hit 21. Kurt, let's see what we can do with that volume.
While members of the Islamic Center were pleased with the guilty plea, they were dissatisfied with Lynn's lack of remorse.
I was very saddened by that. And I was more sad when the Judge Zuhairi asked him that, do you
Please.
know any
Well, we're
Muslims
almost ready
or
to
do
go
you
to
know
next
what
clip, Judy.
Islam is? And he said, no. I only know what Fox News, what I hear on Fox News and what I hear on radio.
Okay. I don't know what's going on here, guys. I couldn't hear anything. And, it's what this, I hope you were able to hear that at home, but what this guy was, what she was saying more or less is, that the guy didn't know much other than the hate that Fox News brainwashed him with. All right, so now we're going to try the full clip, and let's see what happens, and hopefully let's cross our fingers. Maybe I'll be able to hear the whole clip. So, Judy, can we have number 22, please?
Members of Northwest Ohio's Muslim community are satisfied with the plea agreement that will send Randolph Lynn to prison for 20 years. Facing upwards of 40 years for his September 30th torching of the Islamic Center of Greater Toledo, Randolph Lynn cut a deal agreeing to serve 20.
Because it sends a very loud message to future criminals that our society will not tolerate hate and violence.
The judge asked Lynn to explain why he targeted the Islamic Center. Lynn said he was upset that Muslims were killing Americans and trying to blow stuff up, that most Muslims are terrorists, and that they don't believe in Jesus Christ. He also astonished the courtroom by admitting that in the 6-hour period before he left his Indiana home for Perrysburg, he drank 45 beers.
I don't particularly care how much he drank, and I don't particularly know whether what he said in court was entirely accurate or not. What I do know is that his appearance in court today confirmed for anybody who was in that courtroom that this is a man who has intolerance in his heart and who acted with hate.
While members of the Islamic Center were pleased with the guilty plea, they were dissatisfied with Lynn's lack of remorse.
I was very saddened by that. And I was more sad when the Judge Zuhairi asked him that, do you know any Muslims or do you know what Islam is? And he said, no. I only know what Fox News, what I hear on Fox News and what I hear on radio.
Randolph Lynn will be back in federal court Tuesday, April 16, 2013 for his formal sentencing. Reporting in downtown Toledo, I'm Hubert Wiggins, WNWO News.
What do you say? What do you say? Anybody want to call? Hey, this is, if you ever want to give me the business, today is the day. I mean, we haven't had a malfunction like this since, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know. All right, anyway, now we're going to try to do clip number 23, and hopefully I'll be able to hear it. And then clip number 23 is going to be on the Fox denial machine. So, Judy, hit it.
You don't go see Joseph Goebbels' films to see the truth about Nazi Germany. You don't want to go see Al Gore's film to see the truth about global warming.
Global warming. Well, I rudely put it in the myth chapter with psychics and astrology.
It is some of the coldest air in this part of the country in 20 years. Proof that all of this hype over global warming could be just that, hype.
Today's headlines about global warming prove the news axiom, if it bleeds, it leads.
The warming is due to the sun. Thermonuclear war might threaten the survival of our civilization, but warming up the planet, I think not.
No doubt that it's man-made.
It's a hoax.
A total hoax.
It's an outrageous lie.
You're a meteorologist. What do you think scientists really agree on?
There is no agreement that the warming we've seen is due to man.
It is more fiction than fact.
Just to rush to judgment and assume that it's human emissions of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases is really foolish.
CO2 is not a pollutant.
The hysteria, we're all going to drown. This is the alarmist scientists who always get the most play in the media.
The thing about Al Gore is I've always thought of him as such an inauthentic man.
Planet fever or PR fever.
Al Gore is wrong in his science.
I want to point out something.
He's got the Bela Lugosi haircut. Al Gore is unhinged.
If we are to connect with our audiences on this issue, we learned that we must first get our own house in order.
Companies themselves have realized that there is some way to make some bucks by getting on board of some sort of climate change program.
Acting on this issue is simply good business.
Alarmist messages about global warming are counterproductive.
But I'm a little more worried about Ahmad with a nuclear weapon than a stupid glacier melting.
Outrage over Dems who want to fight global warming at the expense of fighting terrorism.
I know what happened. Global warming caused all these problems. How foolish of me. Guys, you see what Fox News does over and over and over. And I tell you, today, they're beside themselves because they don't know how to handle it. You know, they've been claiming that this is a hoax for so long, and they've been trying to trick the simple folk. And you know, you've got people like Marty and Dave and Uncle Joe. I don't know what they're going to do when they finally have to admit it. You know, this is what I call the Santa Claus syndrome. You know what I mean? They keep believing, Eventually you're going to have to find out the truth. You know, and I could just see Uncle Joe, I'm still going to get my presents, aren't I? Uncle Joey, you're still going to get your presents. But global warming is real and Santa Claus isn't. I'm sorry. I know it's going to hurt. The truth always hurts. But you know what? You know, you know, Marty, he has like a case of cognitive dissonance. You know what I mean? He just can't accept it. And he just refuses to accept it. But guys, the next clip we're going to play, this is cute. This is a clip for Uncle Joey. It's a cartoon. And this cartoon explains a fish in a fishbowl, and it relates it to global warming. So, Judy, let's have number 24, please.
This is a fishbowl. If the water in the tank is not clean enough, or if it is too sterile, if the temperature is too high, or if it is too low, if there is not enough food in the tank, or if the bowl is submitted to extreme conditions, the fish dies. This is Earth. You are the fish.
There's holes in the booze and the seas are rising. Incredible it seems, but we're maximizing our chances to go down. So tell me that too much is drowned. Are you ready for the show? Tell me that you didn't know.
Any questions? This is Earth. You are the fish. Now, you know, I mean, even your grandkids can get that. But you know what? We're going to take it one step further with some more cartoons. And this is about a school bus. And Joe, I'm sure you can relate to this one. So, Judy, let's have number 25, please.
You may have heard officials from almost every nation on Earth are heading to Paris to tackle the problem of climate change. Their goal is a plan to finally help humanity reduce its carbon footprint. If this sounds familiar, it's because they've tried before. There was Lima, Warsaw, Doha, Durban, Cancun, Copenhagen, a lot of meetings. The United Nations effort to address the human component of global warming might look pretty complex to some, so it might help to think about the process simply as a bus. This is the bus that can deliver the world from climate change. This climate-saving bus has come many miles since that first meeting years ago. But somewhere along the way, it kind of got stuck. The road to solving climate change is a tough one. In the past, the strategy was to find a tow truck. This would be the agreement or global policy that would fix the climate problem. It shows up, does its job, and we're on the road again. But there was a catch. Who exactly was going to be in charge of this tow truck, for when it shows up, and exactly what it does? Since negotiators could never agree on the final details of this solution in advance, this tow truck never stuck around. But this time in Paris, there's a new plan. Countries of the world are lining up behind the bus and pushing as hard as they can. Each country is offering its own plan to help reduce global greenhouse gas emissions. And there are other factors. Clean energy prices are plummeting. Extreme weather events are costing countries big money. And popular opinion is shifting, with more people demanding action. Now with everyone pushing in the same direction, the climate bus can get moving, as the road to Paris brings the world closer to its destination.
So guys, who's gonna be in charge of the tow truck? And speaking of buses, you know, I think people like Uncle Joey, I think they took the short bus to school and back. No, really. Because I'll tell you, they don't want to understand global warming. Hey, we got a call. You're on the air. Hello? You're not on the air. You're on the air.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm actually very fine. I have a question for you about your stuff on global warming. One of the tenets for the people to come to this meeting was that any conclusions that were met, that were decided upon, were not going to be mandatory for anyone to follow. So everybody came at someone's expense and are going home with no mandate.
Wait a minute, where did you get this information from?
Oh, actually watching CBS this morning.
It's funny, I watched CBS this morning and I didn't hear that.
Try 4:30.
No, I watched it at 7 o'clock.
Well,
isn't that fun? See, that's why we always say, that's why we always say, you know, be specific.
Right, the specifics are.
Right,
people there are coming and they're talking.
Uh-huh.
But any conclusions reached, good, bad, or indifferent, whatever, there is no mandate to follow them. So everybody's walking away free.
Okay, I'll be honest with you. I don't know about that. But you know what? I'll look it up.
What I'm calling in is put it on your little list of things to look up.
Okay. But you know, wouldn't it be kind of foolish to, I mean, now this is the 21st time that the world is getting together. Do you know, now I know that Obama has already committed $3 billion from the United States. I know that for a fact. And I know China has committed money.
$3 billion he doesn't have, but that's okay.
He doesn't have, well, what do you mean he doesn't have it?
We're $19 trillion in debt.
Yeah.
Well,
we're not going to keep blaming Bush for that, are we?
I hope not.
Well, we have to, because let's face it, you know, Bush got us into 2 wars that we didn't want to get into, and he tried to sell us a Medicare Part D program that we couldn't afford. And that's why the debt is the way it is. You can't fight war, and we still can't. We didn't pay for the wars, and now we can't pay for the veterans either.
Well,
you need to vote.
That's an issue. I wish you would look into that, because I think this area needs.
I will. But let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Do you think global warming is a hoax?
I don't know.
You don't know. Are you serious? Have you spent any time looking it up?
Yes.
You have, and you haven't found an answer yet?
I haven't come to a conclusive answer.
Well, I'll tell you what, why don't we just save ourselves some time and aggravation, and let's ask the experts. let's go to the National Academy of Sciences and let's find out what they've concluded.
Okay, well, let me just give you, just as a rebut for a moment, I wish you would do another thing on the hospitals and the Western Connecticut Medical, the health network, because right now I'm in litigation with one of their subsidiaries, and I have paperwork which they used. They made statements under oath, and I have a paper trail which shows their lies.
Okay, that's I understand. I understand, and I don't mean to shut you down, but we want to try to get this thing with global warming settled.
What I'm saying is, I'm not sure that they can prove or disprove the numbers or the procedures that they use to come to these conclusions.
The science is settled.
No, there is no such thing as settled science.
Unless you can prove it wrong, the science is settled.
No. Those are oxymorons.
No. Listen, 97%, and this is important.
You can open your mouth. First of all, do the courtesy when you want to, badmouth people. At least learn how to spell Dave Straight's name correctly. Just be a little less pejorative.
So you want this conversation to devolve into spelling somebody's name and changing the subject.
Do it for the purpose of a put down.
Well, the reason why I put you down is...
No, Dave Straight.
Dave Straight too. If you guys aren't smart enough to be able to sit down...
Why do you do this? Why do you start belittling people when they disagree with you? I haven't disagreed with you. I just said I haven't come to your conclusion.
Sweet, don't disagree with me. Disagree with the science, and you can't do it.
Yes, you can.
The science doesn't lie. Politicians do.
Production of data is always up for grabs, Rich.
No. Do you think that the world is flat? Do you think that there's a chance that gravity doesn't work? Stop the nonsense. Stop the nonsense.
No. Gravity and what it's... Everybody thought nobody could go to space, right?
No.
There were people who said we were foolishly spending money.
That was probably more conservatives. No. And look, Kennedy came along and look what happened. In 10 years, we were walking on the moon.
Right.
In 10 years, we're going to have a sustainable country, a sustainable world where we're not putting carbon in the air anymore, where we're taking care of each other, and we're starting to put...
Rich, start listening a little bit. Rich, when the understanding of gravity before we actually went to the moon was different than the understanding of gravity now. We beat things that they thought were...
You got to stop embarrassing yourself. And listen, I'm going to have to cut you off now because that's getting ridiculous.
Know how to disagree politely. Take your whatevers and go shove them up.
I don't know. I just don't know what to say. What do you say to see? I mean, when you refuse to accept what the National Academy of Sciences has concluded, when you refuse to accept what 97% of the climate scientists publishing peer-reviewed studies have concluded, there's something wrong with you. You can't defend yourself. And then you start with this nonsense of, the gravity's changed. Nothing's changed. What's got to change is you. You got to learn to accept reality. Thermometers don't lie. Satellites don't lie. Yes, the science is settled. Is it possible it could be right? It could be. But you know what? Prove it. 2 words. Prove it. You won't be able to. All right. Now, that was a lot of fun. Now, for some more fun, now we're going to have the adult version of the climate conference that's going on in Paris. So guys, let's see what's going on and what we can do about it. So Judy, Let's have
So you may
26.
have seen this term COP21 popping up in your Twitter feed, and that is a completely wonky term, but it actually stands for the most important climate change meeting that the world has ever hosted. COP21 means the Conference of Parties. It's the 21st time, essentially, that the world has come together to try to figure out a solution to climate change. This is something that we've never succeeded at before, but there's very good reason to think that this year in December in Paris, when the world meets again, that we'll be able to figure out something that will get us on the right track. When all these world leaders get together in Paris, they're basically going to be talking about one number, and that number is 2 degrees Celsius. That's the threshold for warming. It's measured since the start of the Industrial Revolution, how much we've increased the temperature by burning fossil fuels. And if we cross that mark, we're expected to go into what policy wonks considered the danger zone, or dangerous territory for climate change. There are entire countries that could disappear because of sea level rise at that mark. Wildfires are expected to get bigger, droughts will get more severe, and 30% of animals will be put at risk for extinction. I've seen these talks described as basically a potluck dinner, and each country in the world is bringing its dish, its climate plan to the table and saying, okay, here's what my plan is, like, what are you bringing? And the fact that the US and China are both bringing dishes to this giant international potluck is a huge deal for the Paris climate talks. That really hasn't happened before. China and the US are the 2 biggest climate polluters in the world, and previously they sort of stalled or gave mixed messages in terms of what they were going to do to get off of fossil fuels. There are huge stakes to these talks, but as far as what's going to be happening in Paris, it may be a lot of really kind of smaller things. Countries will be fighting about, how aggressive these cuts to fossil fuels are. Exactly who's going to pay for countries to adapt to climate change. There are a lot of countries out there that haven't done anything to cause it and are going to be suffering quite a lot from the effects of it. How to basically buy the transition to renewable energy for countries that can't afford that. And how often these goals are going to be reviewed going forward.
All right, guys. So, as you can see, when the whole world tries to get together to solve a hoax, something ain't right. And like the lady said that call, you didn't spell Dave Straight's name right. We're talking about global warming, and you're going to talk about somebody's name, how you spelled their name. This is how these people think. They don't think, they react. This is not fair to me. You know what I mean? I shouldn't have to be subject to this. But anyway, now let's take it one step further. The Attorney General from the United Nations, from the Security Council, Ban Ki-moon, do you think he's a climate denier? Judy, let's have clip number 27, please.
I'm asking you to lead. We must cut emissions. We need action from everyone, everywhere.
Climate change carries no passport. It is happening everywhere and affects all countries, rich and poor. Raise your voices. There is no Plan B because we do not have Planet B. Everyone has a role to play. We can make a difference.
guys, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but climate change is going to be a catastrophe. It's going to be a catastrophe. We have to make sure that it doesn't become an apocalypse. That's simple. Too late to avoid a lot of the changes that are going to happen. We're going to have to deal with them. But we don't want to make it even worse. And that's why all the countries, all 200 countries are getting together, because it's not a hoax. And because you see this unrest, and you see what happened with the Syrian refugees. Why did they leave Syria? Because they were happy? No. They haven't had water in 4 years. They can't grow anything. They had to move into the cities. The cities couldn't absorb them. You have a revolution, and this is what happens. But of course, the Muslim terrorists are scarier than the world. And like the Attorney General said, there's no planet B. It's that simple. All right, now guys, don't you know that during this time there are 3 new movies coming out? And the first one, and Judy, if you can bring up still number 31, guys, this is on Huffington Post today and tomorrow. This movie, A Time to Choose, is free. So if you go on the Huffington Post and look at Time to Choose, you can watch the film from the Oscar winner Charles Ferguson. And I watched part of it today, and I tell you, they did a beautiful job. So that's on Huffington Post, and it's free today and tomorrow. And Judy, can you come back to me? And guys, you're not going to believe this, but a climate denier, Mark Morano, is coming out with a movie as well that's going to be released in Paris. These guys have no shame, none. So first we're going to show you Mark Morano, and guys, he got an award for journalistic integrity. How could you have any integrity if you're a climate denier? This is the way these people are. So listen, he was speaking, I forget where it is, but let's play the clip, and guys, you'll get a kick out of it. So Judy, number 32, please. Clip 32, Judy.
So next up is Mark Morano. He's the Executive Director and Chief Correspondent of ClimateDepot.com and Communications Director at CFACT. He previously served as a Senior Advisor, Speechwriter, and Climate Researcher for one of my favorites, U.S. Senator James Inhofe of Oklahoma, and Comms Director for the Senate EPW Committee. His work is well known. He has appearances on CNN, The O'Reilly Factor, BBC TV, New York Times, Washington Post, USA Today, Wall Street Journal. He's the winner of the Accuracy in Media Journalism Award and was inducted into the Town Hall of Fame. Welcome, Mr. Morano.
Thank you very much. I have a lot to cover here. We're going to go from America, DC, and Paris ultimately, and talk a little bit about the basic premises. Can the weather be controlled? And what is happening in Washington? What kind of claims are we hearing? First off, December 7th, a day that will live in infamy. Well, a new day that will live in infamy. The global warming movie, Climate Hustle, will premiere at a Paris theater. I just got word this morning that we are actually overbooked for the December 7th red carpet movie event. We are hundreds of people capacity, and the theater is now completely overbooked, so we have to actually have limited standing room only for this premiere. The film will reveal which animal was used as a mascot for global cooling in the 1970s, and the same animal used as a mascot for global warming in the current day. In other words, when it was cooling, the animal migrated south to get warmth, and when it was warming, the animal's now migrating north to get cool. And they're basically, both claims were made with a straight face of this animal.
Judy? Both claims were made with a straight face. How can he stand there with a straight face and preach this bull. This guy has no shame. I mean, it's unbelievable. And guys, now we're going to show you the trailer for the movie that he's going to hype. And I'll tell you, watch the trailer, and you're going to sit there and go, But anyway, Judy, let's have number 32, please. Guys, I can't wait to watch it because I love to sit there and see what they get wrong and how they do it. And that's what floats my boat. Giving the simple folk the old bada bing. You know, like, I feel sorry for this lady that called up. She's never been taught how to be a critical thinker. She's never been taught how to look at something critically and say, wait a minute, hold the phone. This don't jive. No. What they do is they look for things that confirm the way they feel. They have a confirmation bias. Don't tell me anything different than what I already believe. And we got to stop this nonsense. This is America. We have the internet. There's no more room for ignorance. I can see you getting tricked every once in a while, but that's why you have people like me. We'll straighten you out. I hope this isn't that lady again. Go ahead.
Just one comment. Those who disagree with sarcasm, that is the level of intelligence. And maybe us people who you keep calling names will have the courage at some point to tell you where to go and how to get there.
Thank you. You know, dealing with reality is a hard thing to do. You know, to go to, this lady doesn't have a computer. She said it once before. But you know what? Find somebody that's got one. Go down to the library. Stop being ignorant. Stop watching Fox News and listening to hate radio, where you just told one thing over and over and over again. And you know, why you don't have enough respect for yourself to try to find out what's going on. This is what makes me crazy. You know, it's one thing to believe in Santa Claus for a fun reason. It's a bad thing to believe that Santa Claus exists. And this is the problem. And you know, guys, hopefully, and Judy, you got to get back out there. Hopefully this next clip, this is from Naomi Klein. And this is called This Changes Everything. And this movie is going to premiere this week as well. And I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to download this off of YouTube. You probably have to pay a fee. I'll pay it. I don't care. I want to watch it. So, Judy, let's have the trailer for clip number 34, please.
The majority of the human race does not see global warming as a serious threat. Celebrate! Climate legislation is dead.
We, in the global north, with less than 20% of the population, are responsible for over 70% of global emissions.
Now do the 1 minute spiel.
We are drilling all over the place.
on the other side of the world, those people who are the most affected by climate change, most affected by environmental injustice, have the least responsibility for creating this crisis in the first place.
The amount of fossil fuel that we're combusting year on year is growing. We're going in completely the wrong direction.
I've spent 6 years wandering through the wreckage caused by the carbon in the air and the economic system that put it there.
That old paradigm will be forced to change, either by the environment around us or by us.
Part of this movement!
You see communities who are thrown into the front line. You see the incredible transformation. They become stronger, they stand up.
So here's the big question. What if global warming isn't only a crisis? What if it's the best chance we're ever going to get to build a better world? Change or be changed?
There are limits. Let's celebrate the limits because we can reinvent a different future.
Guys, it's kind of simple. You heard what she said. We gotta take the system that lets us put the carbon in the air, you know, and the economic benefits to put carbon in the air. Well, you can't have any economic benefits to putting carbon in the air because we got to take it out. And guess what? The shareholders don't like that, but guess what? We don't care. Too late. And guys, we wanted to show you the clips from PBS where they're starting to go after the Attorney General of New York State. Eric Schneiderman is going after Exxon for their climate denial and the fact that they perpetuated the fraud for years. And we wanted to show you that. And we also had a clip with Kenneth Cohen from Exxon. But you know what? We're going to start next week's show with that because the climate summit's going on for 11 days. And the people, whether you understand science or not, you're going to have to learn how to accept it. It's that simple. And you know, next week, maybe we won't have phone calls. Because, you know, my idea of doing a show is to eliminate ignorance, not to make it capable. So guys, we'll see you next week. Sorry for the menagerie of buffoonery. I don't know what happened.